Howdy folks, today we're getting rootin' tootin' with some more CDs to discuss. These just aren't any old albums either. These are the famous Chris Stapleton, singer/songwriter, and his albums Traveler and From a Room Volume 1. Before we get into this folks, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. If I offended any Southerns in the making of this video, it doesn't count because I am one. Let's start off with a quick introduction to our artist of the day, Chris Stapleton. He is probably one of the best country artists in my opinion as of now. He was in the business of writing music for other artists for years before he released his first album in 2015, Traveler. The album is 14 tracks long and is kind of a mix between country, blues, and rock, which you see repeated throughout his discography. Today we'll be talking about this one and his album From a Room Volume 1, which I believe are some of his best. This album follows a very unique storyline in my opinion, and let's start off with the first track, Traveler. It's probably the only upbeat track on this album. I can imagine this playing as Chris and his wife are rolling down a country road in their truck, sunset on the horizon, everything's all right. He's talking about how he's just rolling down the road, nothing wrong is going on with his life. But next we move into the sweet and sorrowful track that is Fire Away. Chris starts to outline the struggles that him and his significant other are going through, the fights and disagreements, and you start to see the tougher times in the relationships. I have to say that this is a great track, and I love the music video on it. Next is Chris Stapleton's most famous, internet-wide sensation song, Tennessee Whiskey. This is actually a reimagining of a country artist song by the same name, same lyrics, but this is Chris Stapleton's own take on it, and it's amazing. Definitely better than the original. It's very sweet. It outlines the ways that his significant other is just as sweet as the bottle that he's holding. He's reflecting on everything that went right in their relationship. I actually did karaoke to this track, Tennessee Whiskey, once, but I'm not going to talk about it. Track 4 is the very fast-paced track, Parachute. He talks about how his wife hangs on by a thread on many different things. She only does certain things when they happen, and he's saying that when she falls, he'll be the parachute to catch her. Despite all of this kind of wildness going on with her life, he's always there. Now, what I find interesting is that Whiskey and You, track 5, starts to tie into Tennessee Whiskey, but instead of the similarities and good qualities between her and Whiskey, he's talking about the differences and what both parties do to him that he doesn't particularly appreciate. The track is very slow and sad, and he makes comparisons in the differences between the two parties. Quote, "One's a liar that helps to hide me from my pain, and one's a long gone bitter truth. That's the difference between Whiskey and You." He's still seeing the similarities between what he's holding now and what he used to, even as he reflects on what he misses. We then go into the track Nobody to Blame, where he blatantly states that he went through a breakup and how she destroyed all his things. Continuing with this theory that this album is outlining a breakup, we have a few outliers with the sweet love song, More of You, and the song about how magical the world feels when the stars come out. But then we can continue with this storyline into the track Daddy Doesn't Pray Anymore, which isn't necessarily about Chris's breakup, but you could tie this in by the fact that if you're a Christian and even your dad won't pray anymore, there's little hope to be had. Maybe Chris is becoming so sad with his breakup that even his parents are starting to overcome depression by how sad he is on the inside. Despite how meaningful this track could be, it's very slow and just not really up to my taste. Pretty much the only track I don't particularly love on the album. The next song, Might As Well Get Stoned, is like a southern party song. This is what you would hear playing in like a honky-tonk, He's all alone, he might as well get stoned. And this also continues the breakup theory. It's actually pretty good, and I can imagine this being like a hype-up song for some southern people. The track Was It 26 overviews some of Chris's mistakes he made in his 25 and 26 era, and how he can't tell the difference between them because it was a very rough time in his life. And I feel like we don't see references to the rough side of living too often in the country genre nowadays, other than breakup songs. The Devil May Music has him say that he misses his kids and wife, but his life is taken by the Devil May Music. I like the comparisons of how work can really feel like the devil, having you steal your life away from doing other things you really enjoy, which reminds me to remind you to subscribe so we can hit 500 subscribers. Anyway, next track kind of also continues our theory with the track Outlaw State of Mind. He talks about he was getting more and more reckless with his outlaw state of mind, which could lead you to think this is stemming from the negative thoughts of his previous breakup. Now, we have seen some impressive instrumental and vocal performances from Chris in this album, from the long, croony choruses in Fire Away to the drawn-out Sweet in Tennessee Whiskey. Since we are moving into the final track of the album, you might think that with what Chris has done for us, he's just going to rest it easy. But no, he's saved even more impressive vocalization for his last track, Sometimes I Cry. He goes all out, and I mean it. Every ounce of his voice is soaked into the chorus, and it really makes for an emotional track. And I think even more proves my theory that Chris was going through relationship problems or reflecting on previous problems when writing this album. Overall, this album is amazing. Amazing job, Chris. Easy 9 to 9.5 out of 10 for me, which is going to bump Odelay out of the top. And this album is F5 Gauge certified. 2 years after Traveler in 2017, Chris Stapleton dropped From a Room Volume 1, which I have to say is amazing. You can vibe to it, you can relax to it, it really fits any mood. You can be in a great mood waiting to hear some incredible vocal performances, or you could be in a depressed mood looking to find something that really fits your brooding. It fits a lot. We start off with the track Broken Halos, where Chris has a more lively and fast mood and his choice of guitar strums and instrumentals, but the lyrics are actually quite sad. Chris is battling with people in his life who simply don't stay good. They seem to be angels at first, but the whole premise of the song is about their halos breaking and their wings folding. It's a great concept, and I love the song with some great vocals. Next, we move into the track Last Thing I Wanted, First Thing This Morning. Chris mentions how when it seems everything in the morning is going wrong, spilling his coffee, closing the gate on his knee, she ends up even leaving him. Even at night, when she comes home after drinking, she still says goodbye. It's a really sweet ballad, and it's very slow, without much impressive vocals or instrumentation, but it's a sweet song, and I don't mind it. I don't often play this one. Second one to know is a fiery rock country ballad mix. It's interesting how this album seems to tie a lot into not wanting your love to leave you, because he is once again saying that he doesn't want her to do that. He mentions how he doesn't want his woman to ignore their love or put it off, because he really loves it and he loves her. And if she does want to break up, he should be the second one to know. It's very good and fiery, despite the meaning, worth the listen. I'm skipping up to No Good Living because I don't love it too much, but let's get into the track Either Way. It's incredible. For a bit, it was in my top 3 Chris Stapleton songs. He seems to be in a different mood than at the beginning of this album, talking about how him and his woman just can't stop fighting and he can't keep going like this. He's done loving her whether she stays or leaves. He originally actually wrote this track for another country artist back in the 2000s, but he came back and redid it, and I think his voice and his instrumentation on this project sound much better for this track. It's very sad, but these are the kind of Chris Stapleton songs I live for because the vocals are so raw and so full of talent and emotion. It's really something to experience. It's something I can't just explain. Next is another one of my favorites, I Was Wrong. This track is so good that I've seen people who only listen to hip-hop listen to this one country song and his live performance of it and are blown away. I want to talk about just how talented he is for a second. His vocals on this one are once again outstanding, and he's not one of those artists faking it with auto-tune. Even his live performance just sounds exactly like the record. It's just so amazing. He song wrote this, he sung it, and he played the guitar for it all at once. It's really a beautiful ballad too, because he's talking about how he was in the wrong this whole time, not his woman. And it's very sweet with his vocals and instrumentation, just like most of his songs. In my opinion, it seems like we've run into actually another story in this album. We started talking about how he doesn't want his woman to leave him, but then he got into No Good Living and stopped loving her. He realized it was his fault and I was wrong, and the next track, Without Your Love, continues this interlocked love story. He goes into how depressing life has become without her love, and this is another one of those great slow songs like Either Way. Over nasty guitar and tambourine instrumentals, he belts out another apology for his actions and renditions just how life is so hard without her. In the next track, Them Stems, he seems to go into his no good way of living again. His woman's not there, he's back to smoking the stems, he just can't be happy right now. Life's got him down and he's got nothing to do. It reminds me from the track from Traveler that we already covered, Might As Well Get Stoned. These are the kind of tracks I imagine a Southern man might listen to after he has some problems that need to be solved with the drinks and stems. They're both decently happy songs in a way. While Chris admits he has been sad, he knows that doing these things with his friends can bring him back up, and they're both catchy in tune of lyrics, while that isn't the best message. The final track of this album, Death Row, we really do get sad again. It seems like Chris might have done something after all this trouble he's gone through. He says goodbye to his life he knows and his family over very haunting and bone-chilling instrumentals and vocal performances. This one makes my hair stand on end. It does a really great job of painting a picture. After all that, you would be like, whoa, this must be a long album, but it's only 30-some minutes long. Chris did an amazing job telling a story in this album, with some of his best vocal performances across all of his albums packed into this tiny thing. Amazing album, Chris. Wish it was a little longer, and maybe Last Thing I Needed First Thing This Morning could have been better, but I'm still giving this a 9 out of 10, going above Odelay. Also, I forgot, this album is F5 Gabe certified, which is something I started. And everybody, thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please like it and subscribe. Thank y'all for watching. F5 Gabe out.